Hey everyone, so in this video we are going to take a look at what are the solution and environments in Power Apps. So imagine this diagram. So here as you can see we have a container. In that we have Power Apps, Power Automate, we have some Dataverse tables, Power BI dashboard and a Power Virtual Agent. So simply we can understand solution is like a package where we can store our app, Power Automate flows and all other like Power Platform tools where we can move them from one environment to another. So if you know, like we can export Power Apps to move it from the one environment to other environment, right? So let's say if you have 3 to 4 different applications, you have 5 Power Automate flows associated with it, then how we are going to move it from one environment to another? If you do it manually one by one, then it will take a lot of time. But if you want to do it in a best efficient way, we use the Power Apps solution. So in Power Apps, we called it as ALM, that is Application Lifecycle Management, is the best practice to do it. So there are basically two types of solution. There is a one managed and unmanaged. So the managed solution are like we are used for the production environments. So let's say you have built one application and you want to deploy that application in production environment. So you are going to make it as a managed solution and export it as a managed solution, because once you deploy it on production environment, you don't want other users or makers to make any changes in that application because it's in production. Opposite to that, what is unmanaged solution? So unmanaged solution are like if you deploy it from one environment to another. So like let's say you have the dev, UAT and prod, these three types of environment. So you deploy it from dev environment to UAT environment. You want to make some changes in that. You deploy that solution as an unmanaged solution. So these are like two ways to deploy your solution. Then talking about environments. So what are the Power Apps environments we can see? So environments are like the isolated place we can say, where it does not, like if you have multiple environments, if you make changes in another environment, it will not affect anything on the another environment. So basically we'll take a 3 examples: dev, UAT and prod. So let's say I will go here and let's say you have the dev environment, then you have the UAT, and then you have prod and production. So initially the maker will works on the dev environment only. So let's say this is the my isolated place. I will make any changes in the application here. So once everything is done from the development side, then I am going to deploy this solution on the UAT. So here what I am going to do, I am going to deploy this solution as the unmanaged solution, because generally what happens, like dev environment we do applications in our, let's say in our companies, or in UAT production we do generally deploy the application on the client's website. Or there are other cases like dev, UAT and prod, all these three environment are set up on the client side only. Then we have the UAT. Once the QA has done the testing on this UAT environment, then we deploy it to production environment. But while deploying it to production environment, we want to make sure that we deploy the managed solution to this production environment, because we don't want other users who have access to this solution make any changes in our flows, or let's say application, or modify anything in environments variable and all. So these are the concepts of solution and environments. So we are going to take a look at in practical way, like where we can build a solution and what other components are related to that. So if you go to make.powerapps.com, on the left hand side you can see the solutions. So currently you will see only one default solution or CDS solution. These two solutions I have created earlier. To create a new solution, you have to click on new solution. Here you give the name to your solution. So let's say I will name it as a employee management solution, or let's say employee management only. Then the name will be automatically generated based on whatever you type in the display name. The second one is publisher. So who is going to publish? So generally, if you are a developer, you can write your own name, or if you are a company, you can write the company name as well. So generally what I do is I just write my own name. So all the name you can see in this. If you want to create a new publisher, then what you can do is just create a new. So let's say I will name it as ABC Corp. Prefix will be, let's say prefix, what we are going to use the prefix for. If you create any flows, any application, any environment variables in that, it's going to append that prefix. So let's say I want prefix as a ABC. So you can see the format is here, like any, let's say you have created a connection. So let's say SharePoint connection. So it's what is going to do ABC underscore that SharePoint connection name. So once everything is done, I will click on save. This is the only mandatory information we have to fill. You go to contact if you want to add the details. So once this is done, you have to save it. So it will take few seconds to save this. Okay. So I have created my publisher. Now if I click on this drop down, I can see that name populate here. The version is by default 1.0 because this is the first time we are creating a new solution. If you click on more option, you have the configuration page and some description about this. So generally when you create a new solution, it is on the unmanaged solution type. You can find other information or you can read this information in the tooltip. So once everything is done, I am going to click on create. So it will create a solution for me. So initially the solution is completely blank. On the right left side you can see that all, here we will display all the, like if you have flows, you have multiple apps, dashboard, you can see everything here. If you want to categorize, like if you want to see just only app, you can use these filters as well. To add a new Power Apps or Power Automate flow, you just have to click on new, and here you can see I have option to add a Canvas app, model driven app, or a Power Page. Let's say I have automation, then I can create a Power Automate flows inside this solution. If you want to add some adaptive cards, let's say if you want to add a Power BI dashboard, Dataverse table, you can do everything from here. If you go to more, then you have the choices, component library, all these things you can add in a solution. So once you have completed your development, once everything is ready for the UAT, what you want to do, you just have to publish all customizations, because whatever changes we did, we have to publish it. So this is the solution. In the history, you can see all the history, like when you exported that solution, how many versions are there, what is the start time, end time, and if there is any error while exporting that solution, you can find all this information here. If you go to overview, you can find the general detail about solution. So you can change the display name of that solution or publisher version, but the name will be disabled because this is fixed. Then you can find like how many space here. Then solution checker, if you want to check the solutions, if there are any error, then it will mark it as in four categories like high, low, medium, and critical. To export a solution, we have the option to export. So let's say you have already published this, you don't have to click on publish, but if you did not publish it earlier, you have to click on publish, and then you have to click on next. So this is the version number is auto generated. I recommend that you don't change this. If you are something creating something like custom, or if you want to give your own version number, you can do it, but this is the out of the box and I'm going to use it. And here we have the option export as. So the first one is managed and second one is unmanaged. So let's say if I'm going to deploy it on the production environment, then I'm going to select as a managed, and if I select unmanaged, then if I deploy this solution into another environment, I still can able to make changes, or any other maker who has necessary permission to make changes in the solutions can change in that. Also, you have the option to run a solution checker. I generally check this, so it will send you an email if there are any issues or what is the result of the solution checker. So once everything is done, you click on export. So once you export this, it will start packaging all these things like apps, power apps, flows in a zip file. You get a zip file, you go to another environment, and you have to import it. So this is a part of solutions. So we will see now what are the environments. So you can see here I have the environment. You have the environment. Let's say if you created a developer tenant, then it will create a default environment for you. If you want to create a new environment, you have to go to admin center. But yeah, for this you have to like necessary permission like Power Platform administrator. If you want to make changes in specific environment, then you might want to have some permission like system administrator or environment maker role. You can find all these detail in MS Learn website. So all the permission related things you can find it there. So currently I have the global admin role in this environment, as this is the developer environment I have created. So I have all the access to create or delete any environments, any solutions in everything. Okay. To create an environment, I'm going to click on environments. So here as you can see, I have dev environment. This is the default environment. To create a new, I'm going to click on new. Here you can choose a name. I'm going to select it as a UAT. Here environment group. So this is the new group, like this is the new concept that is Power Apps introduced, environment groups. Like you can bundle environment groups. So let's say you have the multiple development environments, multiple UAT environments, and for those environment you want to specify the some settings or configuration which apply for all developments on all UAT environment. You can use environment groups for that. But currently I'm going to select none because I don't have any environment group created in my tenant. Then the region, the US is region. The default is United States because while creating this developer tenant, I have selected the region as a US. That's why the region is selected US by default. Let's say if you created a tenant with the India region or Asia Pacific region, then you might have to change this, or you can might change like Asia, India, Australia, anything. Then the type of the environment. So as you can see, there are a lots of types: trial, developer, production, and sandbox. So developer is like, if I am the developer, I am working in the developer environment. The developer environment is for development purpose only. You can get access to premium connectors in there, but if you deploy it on the other environment, then those premium connectors will need the additional licensing for all those users who are going to use that application. Production environment is like the complete application, like the very upper stage of the development. And the sandbox is generally like UAT, we can say, where the QA can test it. So what I generally do, I generally create two developer environments. So one for my development only, one for QA. And the production, I use the default environment of any organization if I am deploying app on their tenant. So let's say I'm going to create a developer environment. Purpose, you can say like this is for QA testing only. Then I'm going to click on next. So here the data verse is added, the currency we have to set, and language we have to set. If you want to deploy a sample data, like if you want to create tables or deploy any sample data in that, you can check this or just on this. Once everything is done, you have to click on save. So in developer environment, let's say if you do not perform any activities in 90 days, it will get deleted automatically. So this is the information about the developer environment. So we can see like earlier we have the solution and we have exported it. So just download the solution. So the solution is downloaded here. I am going to import that solution in another environment. So let's say I think it will take some time to appear that environment here. Okay. So as you can see, the solution checker I have explained earlier, like there are four categories: low, medium, high, and critical. Since there are zero issues found because we don't have anything in our solution, we don't have any app, we don't have any flows in that. So generally, it gives the results in accessibility issues in Power Apps. Like there are some labels you want to manage, there are some colors. So all these things you can see here, and email will also go to your account. So I will click on environment again. Okay, so that environment is not appearing. So what I'll do, I will just deploy that solution into my default environment. So again, I am repeating, like to deploy or make any changes in your environments, you must have the environment maker system administrator role for that selected environment. So in the default environment, I am going to click on solutions, and here we want to import it. So I'm going to click on import. You have to browse it from your system. I will select this zip file, click on next. So if you have any connectors used like Power Automate, sorry, not Power Automate, Outlook, SharePoint, so it will ask for you to create a connection for that. So this is the general information. I'm going to click on import. So in upcoming videos, we are going to use the solution in practical way to build some application. But when I click on the next in the second step, if you have any SharePoint and Outlook, it will create a connections for you first. Then if you are using SharePoint, then it will ask you to select sites and associated list with that solution. And once everything is configured correctly, it will create a solution. So as you can see, here is a currently importing a solution. I think it will not take a lot of time to import that because we don't have anything in that solution. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes. So after 1 or 2 minutes, you can see the solution has been imported successfully and it is appearing under unmanaged solution. So if you deploy the managed solution, you can see them in managed, or if you want to see everything, you can click on all. So here, this is my solution that has been imported in my environment. So let's say there are multiple changes in future in my application. So first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it in my development environment only. So the changes I make in development environment will not affect the solution which are currently in the my default environment, because whatever changes I make in the environment, it is completely isolated within that specific environment. So once the changes are done, this process is same. You go to your solution, you publish that solution, and you export it and import it again into other environment. So this is the best practice instead of manually exporting every application. So as you can see here, I have option to export the application. You can see export package. This is not the best way, but yeah, this is we can do for if you have one single application only. But if you have multiple applications and associated Power Automate flows with that, then I will definitely recommend you use the solutions for that. Again, solution is not a premium feature, it is generally available. But if you are using Dataverse connectors or Dataverse table in that, then you might require the additional licensing for that. But by default, yes, solution is not a premium feature. So let's say if you are building a solution with all the default services like SharePoint, which will not cost you anything, Power Automate flows. But yes, in Power Automate flow, if you Dataverse connectors or let's say SQL Server connectors, which are the premium connectors, then it will cost you some. Okay. So yeah, this is all about the solution and environments in Power Apps. So if you have any doubts or questions, you can let me know. Thank you.